Every single bite we take can either heal us or harm us. Food is not just fuel, it's information. It speaks directly to our body, whispering signals to our metabolism, our immune system, our gut, even our DNA. But sometimes, the wrong combinations on our plate can turn that whisper into a scream, a biochemical chaos that damages what our body is trying to protect. We live in a world obsessed with superfoods, and one of the brightest stars in that galaxy is the blueberry. Rich in antioxidants, packed with anthocyanins, and known to ignite our body's natural defense systems, blueberries are, without doubt, a powerhouse of protection. But when combined with the wrong partners, that power can be poisoned. Imagine this: you start your morning with a handful of fresh blueberries on top of your cereal, maybe a drizzle of milk, maybe a few nuts for crunch. It looks like a perfect breakfast. But inside your body, the story is very different. When you mix blueberries with dairy, especially cow's milk, you're blocking their antioxidant activity, the very molecules that protect your cells from damage, that fight inflammation, that help blood vessels stay elastic and young, get neutralized. The proteins in milk bind to the antioxidants in blueberries, making them unavailable to your body. It's like putting armor on your medicine. It can't do its job. You might think you're eating something healthy, but your body is left defenseless. Then comes the second mistake, one that's surprisingly common: pairing blueberries with processed sugar. Think blueberry muffins, sweet yogurts, or breakfast bars. The natural sweetness of the fruit doesn't need help, but when you add refined sugar, you're setting off a metabolic explosion. Sugar causes inflammation, insulin spikes, and oxidative stress, the exact opposite of what blueberries are meant to do. The antioxidants in the fruit are busy fighting a war they cannot win, because sugar keeps feeding the enemy. It's like building a beautiful house and setting it on fire at the same time. The third dangerous combination is with iron-rich supplements or red meat. Blueberries are loaded with polyphenols that protect your blood vessels and reduce oxidative stress. But these same compounds can interfere with iron absorption, especially when the iron comes from animal sources or fortified foods. In small amounts, this isn't dangerous. But when you constantly mix the two, the delicate balance in your gut and bloodstream begins to shift. Iron in excess becomes a pro-oxidant. It promotes the formation of free radicals, the molecular vandals that damage your cells. When that happens, the antioxidant network in blueberries gets overwhelmed, and the result can be silent inflammation, the root of chronic disease. So what does this mean? It means that even the healthiest food can become harmful when the plate becomes a battlefield. It's not just what we eat, it's how we combine it. Blueberries belong with companions that amplify their strength, not silence it. When they're eaten with oats, nuts, dark chocolate, or plain water, they unlock healing potential, boosting blood flow, regenerating cells, and guarding the heart and brain. But when we carelessly combine them with dairy, sugar, or heavy iron-rich foods, we turn that gift into a toxin. Every meal is a message to your body, a message that says, heal me or harm me. The choices we make 3 times a day are more powerful than any pill, any supplement, any miracle cure. Food is not about restriction, it's about awareness. When you know the science of what's on your plate, you stop guessing and start guiding your body towards strength. The truth is, death doesn't always come in a sudden blow. Sometimes it hides quietly on our plate, disguised as something delicious, something innocent. But once we learn to see food as medicine, real medicine, we begin to eat not just for pleasure, but for power. The human body is a masterpiece of design, a living network of systems that communicate with each other every second of every day. When you eat, you're not just filling your stomach, you're engaging in a conversation with your biology. Each nutrient, each molecule, each flavor sends signals that ripple through your cells. What's fascinating is that food can either awaken your body's healing forces or suppress them completely. And sometimes the difference comes down to something as subtle as what's sitting next to what on your plate. Blueberries are often celebrated as nature's defense shield. They're small, humble, and easily overlooked, yet inside them lies an extraordinary pharmacy of compounds. Anthocyanins, resveratrol, quercetin. These are not just fancy scientific names, they're your body's allies. They activate your stem cells, improve your circulation, and even help your body cut off blood supply to dangerous cells that don't belong there. Blueberries help your body repair itself. But that healing power can be hijacked when you unknowingly create chemical conflicts inside your meal. When blueberries meet dairy, a quiet sabotage takes place. A dairy's casein proteins are like molecular thieves. They lock onto the antioxidants in blueberries and strip them of their healing potential. You might be swallowing the same berries, but your body receives almost none of their benefits. People think of yogurt parfaits and smoothies as healthy, the kind of thing you'd see in a fitness magazine, but underneath that glossy layer of wellness, there's an invisible reaction occurring that diminishes the very reason you chose to eat those berries in the first place. It's not about demonizing milk, it's about understanding synergy. Food synergy is real. The right combination of foods multiplies benefits. The wrong combination cancels them out. It's astonishing how often our culture rewards the wrong pairings. Think about breakfast commercials that show blueberries swimming in milk or ice cream tubs loaded with Creole blueberries. It's all marketing dressed up as nutrition. The body doesn't care about packaging or labels. It responds only to chemistry. And the chemistry of blueberries and dairy simply does not align. If you want to get the full benefit of those antioxidants, skip the milk. Blend your blueberries with plant-based alternatives like almond milk or oat milk, or eat them plain with a handful of nuts. Your blood vessels, your gut, and your brain will all thank you. Now let's talk about sugar, the second partner in crime. Sugar is addictive, seductive, and biologically disruptive. It's not just about weight gain or cavities. Sugar changes the way your cells function. It spikes your insulin, drives inflammation, and triggers oxidative stress, the very stress blueberries are meant to counteract. Blueberries, by nature, are low glycemic. They keep your blood sugar steady. They nourish your microbiome, that vast universe of bacteria living in your gut that affects everything from mood to immunity. But when you throw refined sugar into the mix, when you bake them into muffins or mix them into syrups and jams, you're undoing every single good thing they were trying to do. Inside your body, sugar molecules latch onto proteins through a process called glycation. This forms advanced glycation end products, AGs, that accelerate aging and tissue damage. Blueberries have compounds that fight glycation, but they can only do so much. When the sugar load is too high, your body tips into a state of inflammation. Your arteries stiffen, your skin loses elasticity, your brain signaling slows down. And the tragic part is that you might still think you're eating healthy because blueberries are in the mix. But the truth is, sugar turns that superfood into a Trojan horse. It delivers pleasure on the outside but chaos on the inside. This is where awareness becomes power. Once you know the science, you can't go back to ignorance. You start reading labels differently. You begin to question combinations that never made sense. Why add sugar to a fruit that's already sweet? Why take something naturally healing and drown it in something inflammatory? The food industry knows that sweetness sells, and the average person's palate is trained to crave it. But once you break free from that conditioning, your body starts responding differently. Your taste buds reset. You begin to feel what real nourishment tastes like: clean, vibrant, alive. Now comes the third combination that most people never think about: blueberries and iron. On the surface, it doesn't sound dangerous. After all, iron is essential. It's what carries oxygen through our blood. It keeps our cells energized. But too much iron, or the wrong type of iron, can become a double-edged sword. When iron oxidizes, just like metal rusting, it creates free radicals. These are unstable molecules that tear through your cells, damaging DNA, proteins, and lipids. Blueberries fight that oxidation process through their polyphenols. But when eaten together with iron-rich foods like red meat, or taken right after an iron supplement, something unexpected happens. The tannins and polyphenols in blueberries bind to the iron, making it harder for your body to absorb. On one hand, that might sound beneficial for people who already have too much iron in their system. But for most people, it leads to imbalance. The body ends up with unabsorbed iron in the gut, and when that iron interacts with oxygen, it creates oxidative stress. That's inflammation on a microscopic level. Over time, this repeated pattern can irritate the gut lining, disturb your microbiome, and lead to the kind of low-grade inflammation linked to chronic diseases: heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. It's not about fear. It's about timing. If you love blueberries and you eat red meat, just don't eat them together. Give your body a few hours in between. The key to unlocking food's healing potential lies in rhythm. when you eat, how you eat, what you eat together. Every bite can either ignite healing pathways or shut them down. Your body doesn't just digest food, it interacts with it. Every system, from your brain to your liver to your skin, is influenced by the messages food carries. Blueberries carry a message of renewal. They tell your cells to defend, repair, and grow stronger. But that message can only be heard when the noise of dairy, sugar, and heavy iron isn't drowning it out. Think about how many times people say, I eat healthy, but I don't feel better. That's often because they're eating the right foods in the wrong combinations. Nutrition isn't just about what's good or bad, it's about chemistry, about context. The human body thrives on balance, on harmony. When you eat with awareness, your body responds with clarity, your energy stabilizes, your focus sharpens, your mood lifts. These aren't coincidences, they're biochemical truths. And there's another layer to this. Food doesn't just affect your physical health, it shapes your emotional health too. The gut and the brain are in constant conversation. 90% of serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates happiness and calm, is made in the gut. When your gut is inflamed from poor food combinations, that communication gets distorted. You feel anxious, foggy, or fatigued without even knowing why. But when your gut thrives, when you eat foods that work together instead of against each other, that clarity returns. Blueberries are a perfect example. They contain compounds that cross the blood-brain barrier, directly nourishing your neurons and improving memory. But if you drown those same berries in sugar or milk, that signal to the brain weakens. You don't just lose physical benefits, you lose cognitive ones. The ancient wisdom that food is medicine is not metaphorical, it's literal. Every molecule of food enters your bloodstream and becomes part of you. Your cells are rebuilt from the raw materials you eat. If you feed them wisely, you regenerate. If you feed them poorly, you degenerate. The difference is microscopic at first, invisible, silent, but it compounds over time. The foods we eat today determine the health we live with tomorrow. Science has shown that blueberries activate our body's angiogenesis defense system, the network that controls the growth of blood vessels. That's why they're so powerful against disease. They know when to help new blood vessels grow, like after an injury, and when to stop unwanted growth, like in tumors. But these mechanisms are sensitive. They require a clean internal environment to function properly. When you eat combinations that disrupt your body's balance, you interfere with that system. Dairy proteins, sugar overloads, and oxidative iron all confuse your body's signaling. Instead of promoting healing, they promote inflammation and stagnation. What's remarkable is how quickly your body responds when you correct these patterns. Within days of removing those bad combinations, people report clearer skin, a better digestion, more energy. That's not magic, that's biology returning to equilibrium. The human body has an incredible ability to repair itself when given the right tools. Blueberries are one of those tools, but only when used correctly. The danger of death on a plate isn't about immediate collapse, it's about the slow erosion of health that happens one wrong meal at a time. You don't feel it right away. You don't see it happening. But inside, your cells are struggling, your arteries are narrowing, your immune cells are misfiring. It's a silent decay that shows up years later as disease. But here's the empowering part. The same mechanism that leads to decline can be reversed. Every meal is a chance to begin again. Imagine your plate as a battlefield or a healing field. The choice is yours. Blueberries with nuts, seeds, and whole grains build your defenses. Blueberries with yogurt, sugar, or steak tear them down. When you choose consciously, you turn your kitchen into a laboratory of healing. You begin to eat with intention, not impulse. You start to see that true wellness doesn't come from diet trends or supplements, but from harmony. Harmony between foods, between your body and your choices, between science and wisdom. Even water matters. The hydration level in your body affects how antioxidants travel and function. Eating blueberries with plenty of water helps them do their job better. Hydrated cells absorb nutrients efficiently and detoxify more effectively. It's a reminder that small details matter. Food synergy isn't just a scientific concept. It's an art form. We often search for complex solutions. Pills, treatments, shortcuts. When the answer has been in front of us all along. The plate is the most powerful weapon or the greatest healer we have. Food doesn't just change your health, it changes your destiny. The same blueberries that can help prevent disease can also lose their power entirely based on what they share the plate with. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Once you understand how your food choices interact, you reclaim control over your health. You no longer become a victim of habit or advertising. You begin to eat with intelligence. And intelligence, when combined with action, becomes transformation. Every time you pick up a blueberry, remember that it carries the blueprint for healing. But only if you give it the space, the respect, and the right environment to do what it was designed to do. Food is a story our body listens to word by word, molecule by molecule. Every color, every flavor, every texture carries information. The dark blue pigment in blueberries tells a powerful story of protection, of resilience, of regeneration. It's nature's ink, written into the fruit to help it survive sunlight, stress, and decay. And when we eat that fruit, we inherit those same protective codes. The antioxidants, the polyphenols, the plant compounds, they become part of our defense. But what happens when we rewrite that story by mixing the wrong ingredients? The meaning gets distorted. The message of healing turns into confusion. That's what happens when we put blueberries on a plate with the wrong foods. The body receives mixed signals and health begins to unravel quietly from the inside. But when you look at a blueberry, you're looking at a small universe. Its outer skin is rich in anthocyanins, compounds that activate your body's internal shields. They neutralize free radicals, strengthen blood vessels, and even improve how your immune cells identify invaders. But that beautiful chemistry is fragile. The moment you pour milk over your blueberries, you begin to disrupt that harmony. Proteins in dairy bind to the anthocyanins, forming complexes that your digestive enzymes cannot properly break apart. You swallow the same fruit, but your bloodstream receives only a fraction of what it could have. Scientists have measured this. People who eat blueberries with milk have significantly lower antioxidant activity in their blood compared to those who eat them alone. It's a silent theft, and most people never realize it. Think about the irony of it. A person wakes up early, determined to start the day right. They slice fresh fruit, mix it with yogurt, maybe add a drizzle of honey, thinking it's the epitome of healthy living. They take a photo, post it online, label it Wellness Breakfast. But inside, chemistry tells a different story. The antioxidants that were supposed to protect the heart and brain are being neutralized before they even reach circulation. The milk proteins form bonds that block absorption, and the honey spikes blood sugar levels, flooding the bloodstream with insulin and oxidative molecules. The meal that looks like health from the outside becomes a quiet source of cellular stress. That's how easily the body can be misled by appearance. A dairy is not inherently evil. It has nutrients, calcium, protein, B vitamins. But when combined with certain polyphenol-rich foods like blueberries, it becomes a biochemical mismatch. It's not about cutting out entire food groups. It's about understanding compatibility. Just as not every medication should be taken together, not every food should share the same plate. Biology thrives on precision, not randomness. Every combination matters. When we understand that, eating becomes a science and an art at the same time. Now imagine another scene. Someone walking into a cafe, ordering a blueberry muffin, believing they're making a better choice than a dough nut. The word, blueberry on the label feels comforting. It whispers antioxidants, superfood, healthy indulgence. But the truth behind that muffin is devastating. Most commercial blueberry muffins contain more sugar than a can of soda. The blueberries inside are often a mixture of sugar, starch, and artificial coloring. Even when real berries are used, the refined flour and added sugars drown their benefits completely. The antioxidants in blueberries are powerful, but they cannot survive a flood of glucose. The body's chemistry shifts the moment that sugar hits the bloodstream. Inflammation rises, blood vessels constrict, the microbiome gets disrupted, the healing message of the berry gets lost in the noise. Sugar is not just a sweetener, it's a disruptor. It alters how our genes express themselves. It damages proteins, interferes with immune function, and fuels the growth of harmful bacteria in the gut. When you add sugar to blueberries, you're turning a healer into a hostage. The fruit that could have lowered your blood pressure, improved your memory, and supported your stem cells becomes a bystander in a war it can't win. It's heartbreaking because the difference between healing and harm could be as simple as eating the same blueberries raw, plain, and natural. The body operates on delicate signals. Every organ listens to these biochemical whispers. When you eat something high in sugar, your pancreas hears it first. It rushes to produce insulin to mop up the excess glucose. Your liver, overloaded, turns some of that sugar into fat. Your blood vessels feel the oxidative stress as sugar molecules stick to proteins in their walls. Your immune cells interpret that as damage and release inflammatory signals. And all the while, the antioxidants from blueberries are trying to fight that fire. But they're outnumbered, overpowered, drowned by the chaos sugar creates. That's how a small dietary choice can ripple through your entire body, setting the stage for disease years down the road. Then there's iron, the silent player that few people ever think about. Iron is life-giving. It carries oxygen in your blood. But it's also volatile, reactive, and dangerous when unbalanced. When there's too much iron, it oxidizes, just like a piece of metal rusting in the rain. That oxidation generates free radicals. And free radicals are like sparks in a dry forest. They set off chain reactions of cellular damage. Blueberries are designed by nature to extinguish those sparks. But when you mix them directly with iron-rich foods, something unexpected happens. The polyphenols in blueberries bind to iron, reducing its absorption. This might sound good if you have too much iron, but in most people, it creates confusion inside the body. The iron that remains unabsorbed interacts with oxygen and microbes in the gut, generating more oxidative stress. The very thing blueberries were meant to prevent. Picture someone eating a steak salad sprinkled with blueberries for color. It seems gourmet, sophisticated, even balanced. But under the surface, a quiet storm begins. The blueberries' polyphenols latch on the iron molecules from the meat, forming complexes that alter gut chemistry. The microbiome shifts slightly, favoring bacteria that thrive on oxidative conditions. The intestines experience microinflammation. Over time, these small disruptions accumulate. The gut barrier weakens, allowing tiny particles to seep into the bloodstream, a phenomenon known as leaky gut. The immune system detects those particles and goes on alert. A chronic inflammation begins to brew, silent and invisible, yet powerful enough to affect everything from heart function to mental health. This is the tragedy of unawareness, the idea that what looks healthy might not be. The good news is that awareness is a cure in itself. When you learn how foods interact, you regain control. You can still enjoy everything, just not everything together. Eat blueberries between meals. Or pair them with foods that amplify their power: oats, chia seeds, walnuts, dark chocolate, green tea. These companions work in harmony with the anthocyanins. They enhance absorption, stabilize blood sugar, and create a wave of protection that extends from your cells to your DNA. The body is forgiving. Even after years of poor food combinations, it can recover. The moment you start feeding it right, it begins to heal. Within days, your gut bacteria start shifting toward balance. Within weeks, inflammation markers begin to fall. Within months, your energy, mood, and mental clarity transform. You're not just eating differently, you're rewriting your body's operating system. When you strip food down to its truth, you realize that health is not a product, it's a practice. It's not found in supplements or labels, it's found in consistency. When you respect the intelligence of food, your body responds with gratitude. The fatigue, the brain fog, the cravings, they begin to fade. What replaces them is vitality, calm, and focus. You start waking up without needing caffeine, sleeping without restless tossing, living without chronic inflammation dragging you down. That's what happens when your diet stops fighting itself. And it all begins with something as small as a blueberry. That tiny fruit teaches us one of life's biggest lessons, that strength comes from balance, not force. Blueberries don't overpower, they harmonize. They work with your body's natural systems, nudging them gently toward equilibrium. They remind us that nature's medicine doesn't come in the form of extremes, it comes in cooperation. But that cooperation only works when we respect the boundaries of biology. When you think about death on a plate, it's not a dramatic event. It's not instant. It's quiet, disguised as comfort food, hidden behind pretty colors and marketing promises. It's the kind of death that takes years to notice. When arteries slowly lose flexibility, when the gut silently inflames, when the brain's sharpness dulls. It's not the kind of death that comes from one meal, it's the kind that comes from repetition. The same wrong combinations eaten day after day become habits. Habits become chemistry. Chemistry becomes destiny. But destiny can be rewritten at any time with awareness and choice. Food doesn't just feed the body, it feeds identity. The meals we choose reflect what we value. Do we eat for pleasure alone or for purpose? Do we eat because we're hungry or because we want to nourish? The most profound act of self care isn't a new diet or a cleanse, it's paying attention. Paying attention to what goes on your plate, how your body feels afterward, how your mind responds. The body always tells the truth. Bloating, fatigue, skin breakouts, these are messages, not malfunctions. When you eat blueberries and feel light, focused, energized, that's your body saying yes. When you mix them with dairy or sugar and feel sluggish or bloated, that's your body saying no. It's not punishment, it's communication. The beauty of food is that it gives us second chances every single day. Each meal is an opportunity to correct the last one. Each bite is a chance to tell your body, I'm listening. And the body, miraculous as it is, forgives quickly. It starts repairing, recalibrating, rebalancing. That's how powerful food truly is. It can heal what time and neglect have damaged. When you begin to see blueberries not just as fruit, but as living medicine, you start seeing food differently altogether. You stop counting calories and start counting nutrients. You stop looking for quick fixes and start building long-term strength. You start craving what makes you feel alive rather than what merely fills you up. That's the real shift. From mindless eating to mindful nourishment. There's something sacred about a meal that supports your health. It's a form of gratitude. Gratitude for your body, for the earth, for the intelligence that connects them. Blueberries are a gift from that intelligence. They are nature's reminder that the smallest things often carry the greatest power. But that power must be respected. You wouldn't dilute a medicine with poison and expect it to work. You wouldn't add noise to a song and expect harmony. The same principle applies here. When you mix blueberries with foods that cancel their effects, you're not just wasting nutrition. You're silencing nature's masterpiece. The message is simple yet profound. Eat smart, not random. Listen to what your body tells you. Learn the science behind your food, but also feel its rhythm. You don't need to give up what you love, you just need to give it space to work for you, not against you. Blueberries, when eaten right, don't just prevent disease, they unlock vitality. They make your skin glow, your mind sharper, your blood flow freer. They make your body younger at a cellular level. They do all of this silently, naturally, without side effects, without fanfare. But if you drown them in milk, sugar, or iron, they can't do any of it. Their message is lost, their energy wasted, their purpose undone. And in that loss, we lose a piece of our own vitality. Because the truth is, death doesn't always come from what's obviously toxic. Sometimes it comes from what we thought was healthy, when we didn't know how to listen. Food gives us the power to choose life or decline every single day. The plate is the stage, and the ingredients are the actors. How they perform depends on how we arrange them. And when arranged with knowledge, intention, and respect, even the simplest meal becomes a story of life itself. So in the end, the truth is disarmingly simple. Your health isn't decided by fate, it's decided by your fork. Every plate you fill is a choice between healing and harm, between energy and exhaustion, between life and decay. The difference is never in how fancy the food looks, but in how intelligently it's combined. Blueberries are nature's proof that the smallest things can make the biggest difference. But only if we give them the right environment to do their work. Don't let your food fight itself, let it fight for you. Because when you learn to eat with awareness, when you start seeing every meal as a chance to protect, rebuild, and renew, you stop feeding disease and start feeding life. The power to live longer, stronger, and clearer isn't hidden in a lab or a pill. It's right there on your plate, waiting for you to choose it.